Welcome back to Joel's Sports Cards. We have our 5C series right now, which is conversations with content creators in the card community. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by none other than Hoosier Pulls. Hoosier, say hi to the people.
Hey, everybody. Joel, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to talk with you. This is awesome.
It is awesome. It's really fun to be able to get channels here to talk about what they do and how they got their name. So Hoosier, how did you come up with the name for your YouTube channel?
So when I first was starting my channel, I wanted to include something that kind of had some like retrospect to where I'm from. I'm from Indiana, and for those of you who don't know, Indiana is known as the Hoosier State. Also, Indiana Hoosiers is probably like the biggest college sports team we have. So I kind of wanted to, represent the Midwest and where I'm from a little bit with the name. Also in my logo, if you look like in the center, there's a piece of corn, kind of like a tribute to Indiana and the, all the farming and stuff that's done here. So, kind of wanted it to be a little tribute to where I'm from.
Dude, that's what I was anticipating you saying, but it's always interesting to hear that it's actually what you think. So,
right.
Favorite Hoosier basketball player? Is it Yogi Ferrell or is it DJ White? Who is it? Who's coming into mind?
That is tough. That is really tough. You're putting me on the spot. I don't know if I could pick a favorite.
That's just fine. Any athlete in general from the Indiana University that sticks out to you?
Not it from recent years, no.
Yeah.
But being in Northwest Indiana, Purdue is also a huge, factor with sports. And I would say, in the most recent years, Drew Brees for sure.
Totally.
Being a Boilermaker. But yeah, I just think, Indiana sports in general has always been super fun for me to watch.
Totally. So you put the word pulls instead of cards or instead of rips. What made you decide to say pulls?
So I think it's kind of based on like my channel being more about like collecting essentially. I know like when you think of the word pull, it's like a big hit. But it's kind of just me generally just loving to open cards and, share just, ripping packs with everyone. And then, occasionally getting some big hits. So, I also think that it just kind of rang pretty well together.
Totally. Yeah, and you can tell from your content that the collecting is more of the focus you have, more than just flipping, more than just trying to focus on money, which is something that I appreciate, and I know so many other people do as well. So with
Definitely.
that, you have a trajectory for your channel regarding collecting. As you look at the niche that Hoosier Pulls kind of fits in the card community on YouTube, what's the niche you're going for?
I definitely think that my channel is kind of able to provide like a lot of variety. So, I open basketball, baseball, football a lot, but then I also open some kind of oddball products like WWE. I know it's gained kind of more prominence recently with like Prism and everything. But I've been collecting WWE since 2011. I got a big binder of almost a complete set of Topps 2011 WWE. So that's something I really enjoy opening. And then even recently, I got into opening some Star Wars stuff. So I definitely want to provide, kind of like information on, hey, like this is what you're getting in a product. I do a lot of reviews, but I think I'm able to also provide like a lot of variety for people.
You absolutely do that. And how did you decide that variety versus narrow focus would be? Is it just that's what you could get your hands on? Was these different types of product, or did you set out with an intention viewing a priority of variety?
So when I originally got back into the hobby around late 2019, I kind of just went crazy and started buying like all the product that was out there that I could find, so I ended up opening like a lot of Prism draft picks and finding out like it wasn't essentially for me. But then I kind of narrowed down, a lot of different products that I really like and a lot of lesser known products that I enjoy collecting. And I think that's what I've been able to focus on more. So, you'll see me open like a lot of Gypsy Queen, on my channel, different stuff like that. Also Diamond Kings. I know you're also a big Diamond Kings fan, but maybe some lesser known product that doesn't get as much love. And that's also like a part of my collecting aspect of the channel, is just ripping what you want and what you like utmost just enjoy opening. I think that's one of the most fun things about it.
100%. I'm very into products that don't get as high of notoriety, but you gotta convince me of Gypsy Queen. Give me the elevator pitch, because I've never even thought of purchasing Gypsy Queen. To me, the mini cards is it's too much.
Yeah, so I definitely think it can be like a little overwhelming because there's so many different like SPs and parallels, but I also think that's kind of what's fun about it. It is kind of like a treasure hunt. Like, you're looking for missing nameplate cards. You're looking for the Jackie Robinson parallel, which is just the player wearing number 42. It has no other like indication. So for me, it's kind of like a fun, little, rip, like just looking for stuff. And I've also just loved the design. I know it's kind of like one of those things where it's either you love it or you hate it, but everything about it, like the card stock, the design, it's just always been like one of those products that I love opening.
Honestly, Hoosier, you might have just sold me. The treasure hunt view of just this random chase that's not the kaboom, the downtown, the big thing. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just the little subtle stuff that I find pretty fun.
That's awesome. So as you look at your channel and beyond, there's this larger hobby that has a lot of things that are going well right now, some strengths, some exciting areas. What are things that stand out to you, big picture, for the hobby right now?
I honestly think one of the biggest things is I get a lot of messages and comments on my channel saying like, hey, I've been out of the hobby since 1992. I'm just getting back into it, after 30 years. And it's bringing back so many memories for me. And I found a past love of collecting that I lost. You have all these older collectors coming back into the hobby, and they're able to mesh with this new generation, of the younger collectors, which seeing them talk at card shows is so awesome. Like, I was watching this older guy talk about, vintage cards to this, 12, 13-year-old that was wanting to know more about it. And he was able, to provide some really excellent knowledge and information. So seeing that mesh of like the older generation with the new generation, I think it's really awesome. And it's just fantastic to see.
Right. And I'm always impressed at the 12-year-old that knows more than just like LaMelo Ball and Joe Burrow, right? They have this on names and, oh, this is the rookie year for that player. It's like, wow, you've really just learned NFL or NBA, MLB history through cards is how these kids are learning it.
Exactly. And so, like, you have some of those older cards with like historic stats and stuff on them that, once the kids get into it, then, they love collecting those. And I think, like you said, it's great information and great knowledge to kind of keep the legacies of some of these like really, really older players that might not get as much, notoriety today. Like you said, is like the LaMelos and stuff. I think it's important to, keep their legacies like alive.
Totally. No, I completely agree. The generations coming together over one shared thing. There's not a ton of things in the world that bring it like sports cards do. And I think that's a huge win. In terms of areas where you would hope for better, right? There's things that maybe aren't ideal, areas you wish were stronger. What comes to mind when you think big picture of the hobby on kind of the less than ideal side?
Right. So, as with the good, there's always some negativity. And I think personally for me, from what I've seen, what I've experienced and, the stories I've heard from people, is I think that it would be beneficial, to the hobby to kind of get away from like the solely investing mindset. I'm a collector first and foremost. This is, just a side thing that I like to do and enjoy. But I think that especially for young collectors, it can be very dangerous financially, to get all this information put on them like, hey, you need to invest in this guy, you need to do this. And people are investing hundreds and thousands of dollars, into player and banking their current financial situation or future financial situation on someone that they think is going to be the next, greatest of all time. And I just think that, that's, something that we need to talk with all collectors about, because I know that a lot of influencers and stuff like that, they have that kind of money to throw around. But, for people like me, I think it's important that, we talk about budgeting for sports cards and, setting up your finances first and then treating it like a hobby.
Right. That is so, I like what you said there, treating it like a hobby. The last 2 years, I feel like everyone's mindset at least thought about it. Hey, what would it look like if this wasn't a hobby and this was a side hustle or my full-time job or an investment portfolio? All
Right.
okay things to be, but you
Right.
are completely changing what this is for you when you go from hobby to investment portfolio. And maybe you should make that after more than 1 or 2 YouTube videos and maybe a thought about how the current market is going to change going forward. Having a little bit of history, time, a strategy, that's something I think so many people missed, and they ultimately leave feeling burned if it doesn't go as well as they were hoping.
Right, exactly. I 100% agree with you. I think it's really important to establish your finances first, and then if you want to, further your interest in, maybe you want to, start breaking or, maybe you even want to, open up your own little shop, then, I think those are great ideas. But, like you said, I think it's essentially, playing the lottery, when you're just ripping and looking for that big guy or you're trying to hold a bunch of product. I think it's important to, kind of step back and look like, hey, this is first and foremost, a hobby. And, we need to make sure that, people aren't getting head over heels into something they might not be able to get out from.
Yeah, for sure. And when you view it as a hobby, hey, it's $20 to go out to see a movie. You could get that money and put it into a blaster for the night. And then whatever money comes from that could be viewed as gravy when it's a hobby. When it's
Right.
a side hustle, you just lost, 60% of the ROI you were anticipating instead of this, oh my goodness, I actually got some fun for the night and now some ability to keep this going. It's the same exact situation. It just depends on how you're viewing it.
Exactly. That's an excellent point.
Thank you. Every once in a while, the blind squirrel finds the nut.
Right.
It's a decent point. So one other question about that. Do you budget for your wax that you rip on your channel? Or does it kind of just, hey, I have this thing and it's open. I just have a time I go to Target and grab something, or how does it look for you to get things that you rip on your channel?
So I do my best to try to set a budget overall. And sometimes you go a little bit over, or sometimes there's just not enough product out there that you actually want to buy. But I really try to stick to like a set monthly budget of what I want. And I think the hardest thing at the beginning was like walking into a Target and it's completely stocked and you're like, I probably shouldn't. But I think once you get past that and once you can kind of discipline yourself, it becomes a lot easier to start focusing on things that you solely want.
Right. Yeah, it also was tough when there was absolutely nothing and then you found something. It was like, oh my goodness, I don't care if it's Leaf football. I'm going to buy it because it's
Right.
something, right? I think
Exactly.
we're into this place where you could say, hey, there's options. It's not everything, but it's something. And now how do I play my game within that scenario? I think that's really good words, Hoosier. So for your channel, as you go forward, is there a hope that you have a plan, a new idea that you're hoping to implement for Hoosier Pulls?
So I really enjoy just kind of like looking back on past videos and like seeing, how much, I've grown like as a person or, just what I was like into ripping back then. So I kind of just, really want to keep focusing on, making videos, whether it's reviews and personal rips, because it's just something that I just truly enjoy, from opening the box to, the post video editing. It's just like really therapeutic for me. But I definitely want to start opening some, a little bit more, higher end product. Like I want to incorporate some more hobby openings, hopefully down the road once the channel grows a little bit bigger. But I also I have some ideas for some crazy videos as well. Like last year, I ate the world's hottest chip. I did the Pocky one chip challenge while opening sports cards, and I think I was probably the first one to do it while opening sports cards. So I think that's like a yearly installment that I'm planning on doing, and possibly going forward, just continue to eat like hot things maybe in open cards.
Dude, that is iconic, and I've never even thought of that myself. First of all, well, the chips, people don't like food and opening cards, right? There's this
Right.
huge like, don't get grease or salt. So did you eat it and then wash your hands, or did you not? You just had the salty hands as you were ripping cards.
So I actually picked it up with a small paper towel, because I didn't want any of the residue on my hands, because I think it was like ghost pepper and scorpion pepper. So I did not want that to end up like anywhere near my face. So yeah, I delicately picked it up with like a little paper towel and then ate it that way, and then proceeded to almost die and open sports cards.
Dude, that is incredible. The only thing I've ever done is the gallon challenge of milk, which is really difficult to try to put down. It would take a while. You'd have to have a long rip, something that had multiple packs or something. But trying to drink a gallon of milk as you have a rip, that actually could be a really fun cross section of YouTube channels, right? There's food challenges on YouTube and also sports rips as well.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. And, I think it's something that could be honestly just really fun, bring some just general like lighthearted fun, to your videos, to the hobby overall.
I like that. We got to think outside the box, because we've perfected the hands in front of the camera and here's the rip. But I think there's a wide frontier of ideas that haven't been explored on Sports Cards YouTube. And I love that you're trying to do that, Hoosier. Any other thoughts, things you want to plug for your channel, shout outs, anything of the like as we wrap up this interview?
Well, I will say, originally when I was getting started, one of my really good friends that I was in the Marines with, his name is Chris. He actually has his own channel called Chris Rips and Reviews. He was one of the ones to originally like, hey man, like you should start a channel. Like, you have nothing to lose. He's like, you enjoy it. So, why don't you do it? And, after talking to him and my wife was the same way. I started the channel. So I really, have to like attribute this whole thing like to him and my wife. I don't know if the channel would have ever been started if they hadn't, convinced me and, gave me the confidence to start it up. So definitely Chris Rips and Reviews. I, really, really appreciate him and everything that he does.
It's so great to have people in our life that kind of encourage us to take a leap when maybe we have every reason to not do it. We just need that kind of gentle push sometimes. And it's great to have that for Chris. Is he still active making content?
He is. I think he put out a video recently ripping some Bowman. So yeah, he's got a fantastic channel. I love him to death. He's one of my really, really good friends. So it's just, it's great to have, fellow people like within the hobby that you're also just like really good friends with, outside of it. And, just being able to support each other and help each other out with like making videos and suggestions. He was the one who suggested I do the spicy chip and then rip cards. So he's been a mastermind this whole time.
A mastermind indeed. Hoosier Pulls, do you have Instagram, Twitter, any of that stuff besides your channel on YouTube?
I do. So I'm on Instagram as Hoosier Pulls. I'm also on Twitter as Hoosier Pulls as well. Instagram, I make, different reels, fun videos. I, post personal pictures of, cards that I collect. So, if you want to, give me a follow on Instagram and, we can talk. I'm also down to trade. I always love, you know, trading cards. So that's where I do all my trades, is through Instagram. So yeah, definitely hit me up.
All that info will be in the link of this video. Please go subscribe to his wonderful channel. You can tell the down-to-earth personality in this interview, and it comes through in every rip video as well. So Hoosier, thanks for making this hobby a better place. For a sweet background, dude. Pikachu in the big
Thanks
spot
so much.
behind you. Please like, follow, subscribe all of his content, and stay tuned to this 5C series where we're going to keep interviewing content creators in the card community. Until next time, y'all, keep ripping. Peace.
Later.